Welcome back to Just Scrap Radio on BJPenn.com. I'm your host, Cole Shelton, and ahead of episode 84, ahead of UFC 276, we got a good lineup for you. We're first going to be joined by Jim Miller. We did this interview with Jim when he was supposed to fight Bobby Green, but Jim's good enough, dude. We redid it when he got booked to fight Cowboy Cerrone at welterweights. We kind of got how this fight came together, it being at welterweight and rematching Cowboy, obviously 8 years later. And if he takes anything away from the first fight, really good chat with Jim. And something big came out of it is the UFC is working on a contract extension for him. Obviously, when I first did that interview with him, the big kind of sticking point was that this was the last fight of his deal, and there was no talks of a re-signing, which kind of made Jim frustrated. But that's no longer the play. They are trying to re-sign him, but really good chat with Jim. We're then going to be joined by Jalen Turner to preview his fight against Brad Riddell. This has fight of the night written all over it. Both Brad and Jalen, very good strikers, always in entertaining fights. Right now, they're the prelim headliner on ABC, so a big spot for both these guys. If Jalen beats Brad, he's in that top 15, can start kind of making his way up that top 15. And we close things out talking to Gabe Green to preview his fight against Ian Gary. Obviously, a really big spot for Gabe Green. Ian Gary has a lot of hype behind him. Undefeated guy from Ireland, 2-0 in the UFC. But Gabe thinks the UFC's kind of been using him to get these prospects over. And he, similar to what Johan Lanes, same with Phil Rowe, he's kind of proved them wrong. Plans to prove them wrong here and get a big win and really show that he's a guy that should be in that top 15 in the welterweight division, can make some noise in the division. But be sure to share the show, subscribe, and tune in next week for another episode of Just Scrap Radio.
All right, we're joined by UFC lightweight, but now fighting at welterweight now, Jim Miller. Jim, how's it going, man?
It's going well. It's going well. Can't really complain.
Like we did this like last week, I think, and it was
Yeah.
supposed to be Bobby Green. Like, can you kind of take me through what the past couple days have been like for you then?
Yeah, I heard Bobby was out a couple days ago. Sean Shelby called me up and said Bobby was out and he was going to look for a new opponent. And took a couple days. And it was I thought it was kind of odd because it hadn't been announced that Green was out yet. But I shot Sean a text last night and said, "Hey, any updates?" And he tried to reach out to me after I was in bed. So that 3-hour difference it comes into play sometimes, and I was I try to get my sleep, so I was already in bed. But talked to him this morning or this afternoon rather, and told me that Cerrone took the fight and asked if I would do it at 170, and said let's go.
Oh, were you a bit worried like you'd have to fight some newcomer then? Like, I know that Bobby Green fight was important, like a big one, because it was another name guy and not one of these like prospects you've had to keep on fighting.
I thought more about that a couple of days ago, like over the weekend. I was like, it might have to be a newcomer or something like that. Tell you what, though, the last 2 days, I was like, it kind of looks like it's not going to happen. So I'm just excited to still be on the card and get the opportunity to fight.
Oh, did you were you surprised it was Cowboy, or was this something that you just was there ever any talk? Because after the Joe fight, he kind of said like he might take a bit of time off now.
They asked him immediately that day. So when I found out on Saturday, Sean was at the venue. So they had asked him, and he didn't want to cut to 55 again until at least wanted a month off of cutting, since he had two relatively close back-to-back cuts. So it's flattering, but it's kind of annoying on the flip side. Nobody else wanted to fight. Mm-hmm. So I'm a little taken back by it, because it's like, man, is nobody ready to fight? Is nobody prepared? I guess it's 2022 though, and not 2008 like when I signed. So back in my day, it was like, let's go. If there's a fight opportunity, I'm ready to go. So it's cool, because I wanted to, I have called him out, like I called him out after the last one, and I got a lot of respect for Donald. and we're gonna go in there and put on a show.
I guess like I am kind of surprised no one jumped at it because you're such a big name, or like one of these guys that are so young in the UFC career. They think like maybe they take that short notice chance. If they beat you, like they get a lot more name value. Like I'm kind of surprised to hear that there weren't a lot of people jumping out to fight you then.
Yeah, me too. Honestly, me too. You know, I feel like there are some other pretty high profile guys that are young and just a few fights into their UFC careers that are being, they're talented fighters, but they're being rewarded while they're also saying they don't want to fight ranked fighters or these tough matchups, which it's a little bit mind blowing, honestly. My first day with the company, I would have fought for the title, so yeah, it's wild. So, Sean and I did talk about, the next contract. So the hope is that they reward, the behavior of saying yes and, and, and accepting fights and without balking, without, complaining or anything like that.
Well, that is something I wanted to touch on because when I put out my other interview with you, like the big thing everyone kind of caught on was you saying this was the last fight of your deal. So, like, is it still, or did you resign now if you're taking on Cowboy?
At the moment, it's still we haven't come to terms on anything new. So technically speaking, but Sean told me that it's like he just didn't know, because I had spoken to him in the past, and I was like, hey, when I signed that last one, I was like, I just want to get to 40. I just want to get there, and so we really hadn't had a conversation about the next one. So he it was just a little miscommunication, I guess, on our probably on my side for not really reaching out and telling him what I wanted to do. So yeah, so I voiced what I want to do. I was like, hey, I want to get to UFC 300. I'd like to the opportunity to retire at that card. That's another 4 to 6 fights. I still have to do my part. I still have to win. I still have to fight the way that I've fought in these last 39, which is aggressively and yeah, go out there and fight as hard as I can. So yeah, I'm looking forward to having that finish line. Honestly, like putting it out there, putting it into the ether, and even better than that, like talking to the guy who offers me the contracts, and gets the fights, and saying that, and having him acknowledge it, it's cool. So I'm ready to ready to begin the journey towards that last one, which is it's weird because it's exciting.
Getting into your fight though, like you're not the biggest lightweight, so like was 70 like something you had to kind of think about just because Donald's a guy that's probably gonna be a lot bigger than you at 70?
Well, I mean, he literally just cut to 55. So he'll probably have a few pounds of me, inside the octagon, but nothing out of the ordinary. It's not like he's been training at 170s and is really going to have to cut to 170s either. Honestly, he called me up. We had a conversation, and he's like, "Hey, how you doing?" And I was like, "I'm good, man." I'm like, "Here we're dancing again." And he's like, "This I guess was before he found out that I had accepted at 170." He's like, "Listen," he's like, "I'm just coming off the weight cut," and he's like, "I'm in the mid 170s." I was like, "Dude, it doesn't really matter either way," So yeah, like I said, it's not like I'm going to be fighting a 200-pound man inside there. I would have done that when I walked around a lot closer to 200 pounds, but it's a little bit harder these days for me. So yeah, it's a fight. So I just have to do my job and go out there and fight hard and find my opportunities to win.
And you, like Donald and like Joe, are kind of the last that like dying breed. Because even when I talked to Joe before the fight at like in 274 and Austin, he's like, yeah, me and Donald were always on the phone talking about like, oh, moving it to this date. And like, even you're on the phone with Donald. Like, it doesn't seem like that's really a thing anymore where people are calling up their soon to be who they're fighting and talking about the fight.
Yeah, like there's it kind of goes back to rewarding the type of behavior, right? It's like a kid. MMA fighters are just like toddlers, right? You're gonna get the behavior that you consistently reward, and it seems that this bickering back and forth on Twitter type shit is what gets rewarded. So it's what you're going to continue to see until or if the guys like Donald and Joe and I and Frankie can come to the end of our careers and show that, hey man, like what we have done has been effective and lucrative on our parts, then we might be able to influence some of these younger fighters. But I feel like there's such a big hold on that portion of what MMA is, and it's one of those things. It's just not me. That's why I've never done it. So I'm not gonna just I'm not gonna do things that I would tell my kids not to do. Like, hey, don't be an asshole on the internet. Like, there's no point. And but it's been rewarded time and time again by not only the UFC but a lot of MMA promotions. So that's unfortunately, in my opinion, what we see.
You and Donald obviously fought in 2014. Like,
Mhm.
do you take anything away from that fight going into this one, or do you think it's been so long that like you can't really learn from it?
That fight was 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. There can't be a lot of takeaways. I'm sure that he's probably like, hey, this worked in the last fight, so maybe try to throw some of those similar shots. But on the flip side, like I had one of the rougher camps that I've ever had leading up to that fight. Banged up both of my feet. Had suffered a neck injury. Basically, I think we talked about it the last time we talked. I ended up hurting my neck. And that was the injury that's had the biggest impact on my ability to train, which then had the biggest impact on my fighting style. And I was dealing with it mostly. It happened like 10 days before I fought Yancey, but was able to get through that fight. And literally the first day training to prepare for Donald, I ended up re-injuring it, and like basically I just had to baby my neck for the entire camp. So I am a completely different fighter, and I know that, he's a different fighter as well. So I'm going in there with the same mentality that I would be going in there against Bobby, or I'd be going in there against any other, some guy making their debut, like a Moda or a Gonzalez. Like I'm going in there to make it a Jim Miller fight, and yeah, like 8 years ago it's a long time, so I'm not too concerned about it.
And what's kind of crazy too, like I don't really know if you remember this, but you were supposed to fight Bobby Green. Bobby Green pulls out, and then in 2014, Donald steps in, and you end up fighting him like 2 months after that. So how kind of weird is it? It comes kind of full circle again, where you're scheduled to fight Bobby Green, he pulls out, and then Cowboy and you and Cowboy get matched up.
It's weird. Yeah, it's an odd world that we live in, So it's funny how some of these things happen.
With this one too, like at 70, does that like what is fight week now? Because obviously we're getting close. Like imagine you're already dieting down to 55. So now is it just like no real cut for you then?
Yeah, it's gonna be this is gonna be a first time like that. Like, hey, I don't have to do a water load. I'm still gonna be working out throughout the week. That's gonna be taking some water weight off. and just keeping an eye on it. And yeah, literally like none of the hard stuff, none of the bullshit that you know, I've had to do time and time again. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the easy week and being able to step into the octagon, having not had to you know, kick my own ass for you know, 12 to 24 hours prior to that, making weight, which is all self-inflicted stuff. So anybody out there that's like, hey, you should just bump up anyway, I know what I'm doing. I know that I'm putting stress on my body, and it's just it's a tough game we play. You know, there's it there's a lot that goes into like going up in a weight class, especially in the UFC. You know, this is not the local circuit where it's a little bit easier to get away with it if you're a smaller guy.
With this one, like, how do you kind of see it playing out? Like, you and Donald are never in boring fights. Like, it seems like it's going to be a pretty entertaining fight.
You know, go in there and fight. That's what I see. You know, like we're both dangerous dudes. You know, and I'm ready to fight hard. I feel good. I'm in great shape. You know, going from a boxer to more, you know, a more of a Thai kickboxer style is a little different, but it doesn't matter. I spar with a myriad of different styles and body types. So you know, the tough part really is done at this point. I'm in shape and I'm ready to go. So I'm just going to go out there and I'm going to have fun. I'm going to fight hard as I can, and you know, I'm confident that I'm going to get the W this time.
And with Cowboy, like, it's been pretty, like, he's even talked about it through his whole career, how he starts slow and, like, as of late, that's kind of caught up to him, where people get after him in the first round and put him out. Like, is that part of the game plan, is to, like, get right in his face right from the bell, right from the opening bell?
You know, yes and no. You know, like it it is. You know, he definitely is a guy that's gotten overwhelmed early, and when he gets put away, it's early. Um, but you know, like I still have mild PTSD from our first fight, and
Mhm.
you know, like I knew that he was going to be throwing that rear knee up the center, and I bit a little too hard on a cross in the very first exchange of the fight, and he kneed me so hard in the chest that he ended up bruising my spleen and knocking the wind out of me. And honestly, I feel like it probably would have ended the fight for a lot of other fighters. I was able to suck it up and deal with it, but then he just kept beating the body, and I was already hurt at that point. And you can't you know, have a hard belly when you're already injured there. So
Mhm.
those added up, and you know, definitely he used that to set up the head kick. So yeah, like if I see my opportunities, if I'm moving well, you know, I should be very energetic, not coming off of a weight cut. So we'll see exactly how it goes. And, you know, I, I see it playing out a million different ways. And yeah, I'm just ready to fight hard.
And then still being on this card too, like, one of my friends texted, like, I wasn't even on Twitter or anything. He actually texted, he goes, "Hey, Jim's fighting Cowboy now." So that's what I texted you to redo this. But he's like, that just made the card a lot better. Like, it was already a pretty good card, and now you're fighting Cowboy. Like, do you just think it's only added to it? And now that you're still on this card, like, it's a big benefit where you don't have to delay it a couple weeks and you can still enjoy that 4th of July, like we talked about in that last one.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, like for me, it's like I make the commitment to fight on that date, and it doesn't matter who steps into the octagon with me. Uh, you know, that's one of the hard parts about not having a schedule, not having a season or anything like that, is like, well, the kids are out of school, so now, you know, like we're waiting to find out when my fight is so that we can plan vacations and this and that. And yeah, you know, like of course vacations would get rescheduled and shit like that, but uh yeah, keeping it on the date and having gone through, you know, 5-6 weeks of camp, you know, which is always taxing, and being ready. I didn't want to delay that and have to kind of go into a holding pattern for, you know, a 2 or 3 weeks and then ramp it back up or whatever maybe. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm super thankful that he ended up taking the fight. Because nobody wants to see me just go shadow box in the octagon. So I need somebody across from me, and I truly appreciate it, and I know that it takes two to tango, and two to put on a show in this sport.
Just a couple more things. Do you think the walkout's going to be any different now that it's 40 and like you're now fighting Cowboy?
Um, Probably not. Probably won't be any different. Just excited to be there. It's a big card, another big card to get to fight on. So, hopefully the fans are ramped up and looking for a fun fight because I feel like we're going to put one on.
You get the hand raise here. Like, do you really care who's next? Like, maybe you get away from the Bobby Green fight. Like, it's 3 tries, it hasn't happened. But I
Yeah,
know.
yeah. I think in the new contract it's going to be that he's not offered because I don't want him to have the thing, to be able to say that he's the only guy that I won't fight, because at this point, from my understanding, this one was his fault as well. That first one, busted a foot or ankle, shit happens, but the last two have been on him. So yeah, I don't really want to have to put in another camp for Green. Yeah, so
And I know when Joe and Cowboy were scheduled, Joe said he'd want that trilogy. Like, is that a fight that you'd still be interested in?
yeah. It's he's another guy that I've just got a ton of respect for, and we put on 2 great fights already, and it's all about the fight. It's all about the opportunity. Like, there are a lot of people that be like, "Hey, you're already up 2-0. Why worry about it?" But it's like, I could go on. I could put another fight of the year on against this guy, and we could have a great fight and leave another mark on the the MMA world and get paid while we're doing it. So, yeah, if it comes, it does. It comes, and I'll fight him. And if it doesn't, I'm not going to lose sleep about it.
And then what is the goal then for this year? Like, you hit 40 here and we're like getting pretty close to 300. Like, when you were saying it a couple years ago, it seemed far off, but I think it's like what, 2 years, a year and a half away. Like, it's really not that far off now.
Yeah, they'll probably pace it out to be same time of the year, International Fight Week, in 2 years, 2024. Fucking, it's crazy just saying that. But yeah, like I'd like to fight again by the end of the year. Get one in either in December or something like that, and just keep moving, just keep going, and keep training, and hopefully keep the momentum going.
Well, Jim, I appreciate the time again. Thank you so much for doing this.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
All right, we're joined by UFC lightweight Jayla Turner, who's got a big fight on International Fight Week. Jalen, how's it going, man?
It's going pretty good, enjoying this beautiful California weather.
Yeah, looking nice out there. Like, obviously this fight's a big one. Like, Brad Riddell's a ranked guy. Did you figure you'd get someone in those rankings after your last fight?
Yeah, I was pretty confident I would. Even if I didn't, I wasn't really worried about it. I just wanted to get another fight in before the end of the year. But Brad was on the radar, so I'm happy I got that fight.
Before we get into fights, something I want to touch on is, after your last one we talked about, you said you needed a new contract because you thought it was up. So did that all get sorted out then?
Yeah, all that got sorted out. Everything's good with the contracts. Yeah, I'm pretty happy. Can't complain.
How exciting is that then to re-sign another deal at the UFC? Like, I was trying to think, what's this, your 3rd contract or 4th at the UFC?
It's the 3rd, so yeah. It feels good. I'm happy. I'm blessed. Staying busy with the company.
And with Brad, like, why was this a guy you kind of had your eye on?
I just felt like it made sense. I just beat somebody. I finished somebody that he fought and beat. They went to a decision. It was a tough fight for him and the guy that malarkey. Took the fight on 2 weeks' notice, so I just felt like it made sense. I know it was a time ago, but he's just always been on my radar. He's a good kickboxer. I like his style. I just always thought it was a fun fight. It was like no animosity. I just felt like it made sense. Especially like timing wise. Coming off that win, I got my finishes. It'd be more fun if he was coming off of a win. There'd be a little bit more hype behind it. But it is what it is.
Yeah, his last fight, like, what you make of that? Like, obviously, Fiziev knocked him out, but like, those are the kind of fights he gets in all the time. Like, he did it with Dober and Malarkey, where it's just kind of he stands there and strikes and kind of just stands and trades with them.
I mean, that I like those fights. I like those fighters.
Yeah.
Stand and trade, stand and bang. That's fun. That's all good. Like we see what happened every time. It's happened with me, and it's like like I usually come out on top in those instances. So I like it. I'm happy. I like his style. It's gonna be fun.
Like most opponents, you're gonna be bigger, but like Brad's one of the shorter lightweights. Like I think he's like 5'7", and like I think you're gonna have like a 4 or 5 inch reach advantage. Like, how big do you think that's gonna be in the fight where your size and reach is gonna play a big role again?
It always plays a good factor, I know he's had some kickboxing matches with some taller guys, so he's probably he's well versed with that. He's Izzy's one of his training partners, so I don't think he's gonna worry about my size and be intimidated by it too much, But for me, I'm just stick and move, have fun, play my game, and get my hand raised.
With this fight, like, how do you kind of see it playing out? Like, I think everyone kind of expects it to strike, but like, I wouldn't. I think it seems when everyone fights with you, they eventually always get shoot in for a takedown.
I see him shooting for a takedown. I might shoot in for a takedown. I don't know. We'll see. I'm expecting a striking battle, but I'm also preparing for a grappling battle as well. Just being well versed wherever the fight goes, confident wherever the fight goes. That's the game.
And then how excited are you too, where you're on another big card, like 3 straight pay-per-views? Like, I think you finally got out of that Apex atmosphere.
Man, dude, even my debut, dude, I've debuted on McGregor and Khabib.
Yeah.
I'm no stranger to the big cards, so I love it. I thrive in it. I thrive under that atmosphere. It makes no difference to me whether it's in the Apex or in T-Mobile Arena. I love to fight. I love it all. So I don't get my job done and get my paychecks.
Also, what's with you fighting all these Australians and New Zealand guys? Like, I think over half your wins or half your fights are against these guys.
Man, look, I just play the hand I'm dealt. That's all it is. Like, there's no animosity towards nobody. I don't know, man, and that's another thing too. Like, I don't know, maybe it's just the energy. Like, I just need to just keep that little wave going. Fight Riddell, and then get in the top 15, and then start fighting other countrymen, or wherever they're from. I don't know.
I think that country and that whole continent's they're not gonna like you pretty soon.
Hey, man, look, it's all respect, but I've conquered that land. So they're coming for me now. Brad's coming for me. He's trying to seize his land back. I am a warrior. I am here for war. I've put my flag in the land.
And then obviously he comes from a good camp in city kickboxing, but like, how much pressure do you think's on him where the main and co-main event are his teammates, and he probably wants to start off the night with a good win for the team and kind of get them fired up for their fights?
I don't think it's any pressure. Because I fought on the same card as him before. He's fought on the same card as Izzy before. It's just gonna be another night, regardless of the outcome for him, his teammates, whatever. They're gonna have to go do their job and do their thing. So there probably is a little pressure on the back end, especially since he's coming off of a win or a loss. So he's gonna want to get a big win, and that's all gonna play into my game. I'm 4 finishes in. I'm just gonna be in there, confident, prepared, smooth, calm, and collective, and then just pick it apart, pick the fight apart.
Brad's like a super durable guy. Like before Fiziev, like no one's really knocked him out like that. It's like, how do you kind of see it playing out? Because you have a lot different power than a lot of lightweights, and then you also have that submission threat as well.
I think all his UFC wins are decisions. All my UFC wins are finishes. I think that says enough right there. Like, I'm coming to finish the fight. I, I know he wants to ground out a decision. Yes, he's tough. Yes, he's durable, and that's what gets him through his fights. But come on now, like Malarkey was tough and durable too, and we've seen what happened, So I don't think, like, is he tougher than Malarkey? I don't know. I don't think he is, but we're gonna test it. We're gonna see if he is or not.
Do you think people are finally starting to like really respect you and kind of consider you like a legit contender? Because for the longest time, like there was a lot of people thinking Malarkey and Medic were going to be like too much for you. Now it kind of seems this fight where people are starting to kind of more believe in you and have kind of look at you as like a legit contender.
I don't care about none of that.
Yeah,
that doesn't make like. And, my core fans know where I'm at. They know what I'm gonna do. Now it's just people starting to get onto the bandwagon, and I hate using that word, but it is what it is. Like everybody around me, everybody that supports me, everybody that's been with me from the start has been like, yes, you're gonna be a champion. You can do this, you can do that, you can be at the top, you can beat these guys. So everybody else coming in like and being a part of that now, like that's cool. I respect it. I love it. Like I love the atmosphere. I love having like the extra support and love. But at the same time, it's like I don't feel like I'm any less or any more respected. I feel like I know who I am. The people around me have known who I am. My core circle has known who I am and who I'm going to become. So I pay it no mind.
He is ranked 14th. So like, where do you think Win kind of puts you? Do you think you probably just take his spot and kind of slide in right there?
I'm sliding right on in there, man. Right in top 15.
What's that going to be like for you when you have that number beside your name?
Man, dude, it's gonna be really surreal, bro. Honestly, I might get a little choked up, man. I might start feeling that in my soul, like, dang, I'm here, like I'm getting here, Like when that does happen, that's when I'll feel like, okay, I'm a force, I'm here, like I've arrived, That's, man, I'm so hungry for it, bro. I'm so hungry for that. Like I just can't wait, man. July 2nd, I just can't wait, bro.
And then once you kind of enter that top 15, like you can start calling your shots a lot more. Like you start getting the bigger fights. Like, is that something too on this big stage? Like you'll have a call out ready, or is that something like you and your coaches are still going to talk about? Because once you get that top 15, like that's when you can really start taking your shots.
Man, yeah, I'm not much of a call out dude. I'll fight whoever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't stray away from any fight. I've always been like that my whole career. It's time to be a little smarter with it, but they throw somebody at me, I don't care. I'm gonna fight. That's what I get paid to do. That's what I love to do. That's what I'm here for. I want to compete against the best. I want to eventually have Jalen Turner, UFC champion, next to my name.
I know we talked about this a bit earlier, but 3 fights in a row on pay-per-views, but all 3 were in Vegas. Like, you a bit disappointed you can't go to one of those other spots, or you kind of like in Vegas?
Yeah, I like Vegas, dog. Vegas become another home for me. It's a smooth, like 3-hour drive from home. Go to Vegas, win, have a little fun, go back home, man. I like it.
Already your second fight this year, so like, what is kind of the goal for the rest of the year? Because you win this, like you're top 15, and you could probably sneak in at least 1 or maybe 2 more.
Man, I was just talking about this with my coaches yesterday. It depends on the next fight. It depends on like timing, dates. I got to get past this fight too. I got to see how I feel after this fight. So I'm not trying to like rush anything. I'm chilling. I'm coasting. Another one this year, that'd be nice. That'd be really cool. And if not, man, maybe in February next year, fight somebody higher ranked than me. Just all depends. Like, I just got to see, who starts to win in the rankings, because I know there's some fights coming up. Yeah, man, just be really strategic, dude. I'm not in any rush. Like, and even if it's an unranked opponent and it's a good fight and I like to fight, like, I feel like it'd be a fun battle, a good test, I'll take it, later this year. Why not?
Do you think like you win this one and you could be headlining a card pretty soon? Like you seem like you're kind of right on there where you beat Brad, like maybe your next fight's a main event.
I would love that, bro. I'm ready for that next step first 5-round fight, man, if I could headline, dude, that would be amazing. Everything I've just visualized as a young man, as a kid, it's just all coming into fruition. So I feel it, I believe it. I'm happy, I'm excited, I'm ecstatic about everything. Yeah, like I would love to headline later this year, early next year. I'd do it, dude. Like I said, I'm a businessman. I'm all about the business, so I'm here to do whatever that's gonna promote me, my name, my legacy, and put me, elevate my life.
And the one kind of down part about if you enter the rankings is it's a lot harder to get fights, 'cause especially a lot of those top guys kind of hold out. Like, is that something too where you've already thought about? Like, you still might have to fight unranked guys just to stay active?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. Like, it depends on the fight. When I'll fight again after this one, because that's that. Like, as soon as you do hit the top rankings, like everything starts to slow down a lot more, and I'm okay with that too, because if everything starts slowing down, I'm gonna just stay diligent on my training, work on my holes a little bit more, and just get well versed in every aspect, and just keep adapting and growing. I don't mind the time off. Bro, after I took my year off, dude, I came back and I've been on a tear.
Mm-hmm.
So the more time you give me off to prepare, the better I'm gonna be when I come back. Like, it's inevitable. So I don't. That's why I'm like, I really don't care. Like, if they like, I'm on the shelf for a little bit, win this fight, cruising in top 15. I take like 6 months off or whatever the case. I'm still gonna be training. I'm still gonna be in the gym. I'm still gonna be getting better. So it doesn't matter. It's just it's just gonna be worse for my competition.
And something I see every single time you fight is people are like, "Oh, how does this guy make 55? Like, you're massive." Like, how, like, are the weight cuts, like, obviously a weight cut's never easy, but like now that you've done a bunch, I'm like, are they starting just like you know what you got to do and it's not that it's like not that difficult anymore?
Man, dude, I've been like, people they call me a weight bully. I'm like, what the fuck is a weight bully? I've never heard of that term before. When I was fighting on the regional circuit, I used to walk around at 170. And when I fought Luke, I walked around at 170. You know what I'm saying? I've been fighting at 55 my entire career. When I was an amateur, I fought at 145. Like, like, I don't get where people are coming up with these terms. Like, the weight cut sucks. It always sucks. It's gonna suck forever. Like, nobody wants to go without like eating whatever the fuck they want. Like, it's always that's the hardest part of the job, is cutting the weight. But like this cut, like I've already felt good. I felt great. Like, I'm really light right now. I'm happy about that. The last weight cut was hard. I'm not gonna lie. Like, that one was a little rough. Weight cut before that, it was a little tricky, a little tough. But this one's feeling really good. Am I gonna stay at 55? Yeah, I'm gonna stay at 55. I don't plan on going to 70 anytime soon. The heaviest I get, bro, is 185. That's the heaviest I get. I usually walk around at like 180. Most 55ers walk around at 180 anyway. You know what I'm saying? Jamie Varner used to walk around at like 190, 195, and he'd fight at 55. Like, these guys don't know what they're talking about. Like, the casuals don't know what they're talking about. Like, we need to start documenting weight cuts and the whole process so people understand what the fuck is going on. Like, nobody fights at their natural weight.
Just two more things. Like, with Brad, like, kind of talking about, like, he's pretty durable. So do you think it's probably more likely you sub him, or just kind of you want to be that guy to knock out like that kickbox that's supposed to be such a good striker?
Dog, I'm a striker, man. What do you mean? Like, that's my go-to. Like, if he wants to, like, we're going to stand on the feet. Like, that's inevitable. Like, if he stays on the feet, we're staying on the feet. If he wants to go to the ground, we're gonna go to the ground. And then that's the one I'm gonna have to try to sub him. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Like, if we get into an exchange and I feel strong and in a position, I'll grapple. Like, I don't have a brown belt for no reason. You know what I'm saying? Like, I do a lot of jiu-jitsu. I just got done doing jiu-jitsu. I've been doing a lot of wrestling also, so I'm ready for whatever. I'm ready
to. Just last thing, like, is this fight kind of perfect timing? Like, July 2nd, you can enjoy 4th of July. Like, you don't got to worry about any weight cut. Like, and then you probably can enjoy the summer pretty good. Like, seems perfect timing for you.
Dude, it really is, man. It's perfect timing. Like, after this fight, I'm gonna pig out. I'm gonna have a bunch of fun. 4th of July party's already set up. Like, it's just perfect. The perfect weekend. Come off a big win, and everything will just be in unison. But yeah, perfect timing, dude. I actually wanted to fight sooner. Heck, even later, I wanted to fight later in July. Like, it didn't matter. Like, they threw me July 2nd. The whole card came together. I was like, oh yes, this is beautiful. Like, I was ready. I literally, like, I was in Paris when I got the call for the fight. I was like, yes. I was like, let's do it.
And this card's like stacked. Like, it's probably the best pay-per-view they've done. Have you seen like the full card?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I'm just happy where we're placed on the card.
Yeah.
Man. We're like perfect. Like, pay-per-view slot would have been dope too, but I'll headline the prelims. I love that.
Well, Jalen, I appreciate the time as always. Thank you so much for doing this.
Likewise, my brother. I appreciate you.
All right, we're joined by UFC welterweight Gabe Green, who's got a big fight upcoming. Gabe, how's it going, man?
I'm good, man. I'm ready to fight already.
Massive fight, like Ian Gary, a guy the UFC's trying to build up. So were you a bit surprised, like they offered you him? Because it seems like they were trying to slow roll him into the UFC.
Yeah, I mean, to be completely honest, I wasn't even aware of who he was. But right after my last fight, one of my teammates, Josh Jones, was like, "You should fight this Ian Gary guy next." And I was like, "Who the heck's that guy?" So I was already kind of like a little aware of him, just right after my last fight, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I'd be totally down to fight him sometime." And then sure enough, he's the person that the UFC picks. So I was like, right on, let's go, let's do this.
And what have you made of his UFC run? Like his debut, he did get the knockout, but like Jordan had a lot of success. And his last fight, he went the distance with Darian Weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's not unskilled, he's a skilled fighter, but I definitely think he thinks he's a lot better than he actually is. And I'm gonna go find out just how good he is, when I'm out there. So I'm just excited to go fight him.
And first time in front of a crowd too. Like, how excited were you when you found out you'd be on this massive card?
That's the best part, and the icing on top. I haven't fought in front. I mean, I had like a little taste of it last fight. There was people, at least in the audience. There's probably like 200 people in there, 100 people or whatever, and it was cool just to hear people out there. But to be able to walk out and just fully take in everything is going to be super amazing. Yeah, I haven't fought in front of like a crowd since 2018, so I miss it, and I'm gonna enjoy every second of it.
And then what's it like being on this card too? Like, probably one of the bigger pay-per-views they'll do this year. Like, you look at all the names, and like you guys, I think, are right up there on the prelims because they're trying to spotlight Ian. I think they're trying to spotlight you. So like, you're on a pretty big spot on this card too.
Yeah, no, like Uriah Hall, Robbie Lawler, like, and then of course, like the main and co-main with Adesanya and Cannonier, Volkanovski, and Holloway. It's like it's super dope to be just on a card with all those people that I've looked up to for a long time. So yeah, man, it's kind of just like I feel like Cinderella.
And pretty quick turnaround for you, like basically like 2 months, because you fought end of April. Now you're fighting early July. Like, was this what you wanted after your last one?
Yeah, I mean, right after the last fight, I told them, like, when can I get back in here? And they're like, how soon do you want to get in here? I was like, as soon as you guys got a fight for me, let's go. And I actually joked around. I was like, July 2nd, and my manager was like, yeah, I mean, we'll see something about July. I was like, July 2nd it is. And then like weeks went by. I mean, I was training, I don't really get out of shape. I was staying in the gym, and then we were like, I think second week of June, and I was like, so how's July looking? And he was like, oh, you know what? It might end up being August or September. I was like, come on, man. Whatever happened to July? You said July. And then he was like, yeah, let me double check. Let me see if there's any openings. And then like 2-3 days later, he hit me up and he was like, July 2nd? And I was like, nah, for real? He was like, yeah, I'll sign it. Let's go. So yeah, that's pretty awesome.
And I don't know if you knew this, but like when Iridium announced the fight, like I messaged Ian because like I interviewed him, and he's like, oh, nothing signed on our end. And then for like a week, he was saying like how the fight's not happening. And then he announced it. Like, was that, do you think that was him just trying to announce it, or like was something going on in that kind of week span?
I don't know. I know I signed it, and I mean, I don't know what was going on his side or what was going on over there, but I signed the contract, and as far as I knew, they signed the contract, and it was official when Iridium announced it. But I mean, if it wasn't, then I mean they were lagging on their end or whatever, because as soon as they sent me paper, I said yes. So I mean, I can't tell you exactly what happened, but as far as I was concerned, when we posted it, it was official.
With this one, like it seems like the UFC is really trying to push Ian, like because he's like an Irish guy, like he said he's the next McGregor. Like, do you think like they kind of hope he wins this fight, and like they kind of view you as like that next stepping stone, or do you not think like the UFC really cares?
Yeah, I don't know. It seems to me that the UFC keeps on giving me guys with some hype, like that big
Mhm.
for Phil Rowe. I beat him, and he's done good since, And I mean, they were pushing Johan too before I fought him, and they had big hopes for him too. Beat that guy. So I think the UFC has high hopes for old boy, and they're testing me. And I feel like I might win him over after I beat this guy. I think the UFC is going to go like, you know what? This Gabe guy might have something behind him. So, I mean, we'll see after I win.
And then both you guys primarily strikers, so like, does that make it a fun one for you, where you think it should just be a kind of a striking fight, or do you think it's going to hit the ground at some point?
I think it's going to hit the ground at some point, because it usually does when I hit people. They don't want to stand with me anymore. All the strikers don't want to be strikers after they stand in front of me. So I bet he's shooting. He's probably, I mean, look, Johan. Johan's a knockout artist, and he was shooting on me. It just goes to happen when I get, in front of him and hit him a couple of times. So Ian might be a striker, but he's going to be after my legs in a second.
And like, how do you kind of see Plano? Just because like Ian's an undefeated guy, like we've never really seen him get hurt. But at the same point, like Jordan landed a lot of good shots, and I have to think you probably have more power than what Jordan did.
Yeah, I mean, there's one guarantee. I mean, there's like a lot of things about a fight, tons of variables, right? The one guarantee I can tell you about this fight is that I'm going to bring a fight. I mean, that's my job. That's what I signed a contract for. I'm going to go entertain. I'm going to perform, and I'm going to bring a fight. So the rest is like, up to the end. Is he going to, fight me back, or is he going to run around and try to run away from me for 15 minutes? I mean, I don't know, but he's going to have no choice. But yeah, at the end of the day, he's locked in a cage with me. So, I mean, I'm going to bring the fight, and we'll see what he does to try to stop that.
And you're a guy like super durable, like always coming forward. Do you think that's gonna frustrate him? Because like on the regional scene when he was a Cage Warrior, he's like kind of first couple punches he'd land, like the guys would always kind of fold, and like he'd get those early knockouts. His last fight against Darian Weeks, like that was a guy that just kept marching forward, and that was when Ian didn't look the best. Like, do you think that's a key part of this one, is like just always being in his face and like not backing down from him?
I mean, I think that's going to be a part of this fight. But again, yeah, that's just like my style. I'm going to do that to everyone. And, yeah, I mean, that's why I'm saying it's going to be. I know in his last fight, the guy pressured him, but he didn't really throw either. He was kind of just standing in front of him and backed him up to the wall. I'm going to be pressuring him, with my presence, but, also strikes. So, I mean, we'll see how he handles all of it.
How do you kind of see it playing out then?
I'm gonna come out. I'm gonna punch him. Might kick him a little bit. I'm gonna, and then yeah, it's either he's gonna, fight or flight happens. He's gonna either bite down on his mouthpiece and throw back, and then it's gonna be a fun night. We're just gonna live in the fire together, or he's gonna try to run away from the fire, and I'm gonna be the fire that just keeps on, coming at him.
And then what do you think a win does for you? Just because the UFC has so much hype on him, especially if you can go out there and say, like, even knock him out or, like, even just submit him or just any kind of finish. Like, what do you think that does for you? You hand him his first loss and, like, then you've kind of derailed, like, 3 hype trains in a row.
Yeah, no, I think it's huge for me. Like I mentioned a little bit earlier, I think at that point I might put a little just a little sprinkle smidge of respect on my name that I've earned from you know everyone anyone who doubts me, and including the UFC. Maybe after this they start trying to build a hype train behind me.
Do you kind of like that though, fighting these guys like early on in your career where they have such this big fan base or like people think they could be like the next big thing and you kind of knock them off pretty early in their career?
Yeah, I mean, I'm here to fight, and if and I don't have a giant following behind me, exactly. So every time I beat one of these hype trains, my hype just grows like a little bit more. So I don't mind just keep on derailing and stealing hype for myself. I'll do that over and over again, and then when I got my own hype, then we'll see what happens.
And you're a guy like that was your first UFC finish, and like through all the regional scene, like you were a finisher. So like, do you put any pressure on yourself to get the finish here? Or is it more just worry about getting your hand raised?
No, I mean, every time I go out there, I'm at the finish. I hate going to the judges. You never know what they're going to choose. I try to stay as far away from them as possible and everything on my own accord. Um, I mean, Roe, I almost had him finished in the first with the sub. In the second, if I didn't accidentally hit him in the nuts, I think I would have had him out of right there because he was crumbling. And then in the third, I made some poor just fight IQ mistakes that also I could have had him out of there because I dropped him like 3 times in the third, I think. And I just I didn't do my part to get him out of there. So I took a long, hard look at that fight and was like, you know what? I need to be smarter about this. I need to make sure I finish. And then that's what I was so happy about when I came back with Johan, Mr. Undefeated, and knocked him out, right? So I definitely plan on getting the finishes from here on out.
Do you think it's more likely you'd knock out Ian or submit him? Just because I could see a path to both ways, just if it stays striking, like you have a ton of power, but I could see where you're striking with him and then he shoots in on a bad shot where you just kind of get a hold of his neck that way.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I have 6 rear nakeds on my and that's usually what happens. The people who get knocked out are the guys who decide that they want to stand with me and they don't take it to the floor. If they want to take it to the floor, they get choked out. So they give me what they want and I give them their way out,
Uh, Already your second fight this year, like I know that was a big thing after the eye surgery and everything. Like being active, so like what is kind of the goal then for the rest of this year?
I definitely want one more, at least. So go out there, get this good win, good finish over Ian, and then maybe another one in, what is this, July? For sure, by October, I have another one. So I make sure I get my 3 this year. That was my goal. I like 3 or 4 this year. So if I can get another one in around October, November, I'd be pretty set for this year.
And then something that I think kind of when like no one was really paying attention to your last fight is that you had eye surgery and you could actually see everything now. Like I know that was just one fight, but like how much more confidence do you have after just that one, knowing that like it's a whole different thing and you can actually see these shots coming at you?
No, yeah, it's big, like I just even in practice, I was drilling some stuff yesterday and people were throwing at me and I was just like bang, bang, just blocking everything. I was like, shout out to eyes, man. They when they're working. It's pretty crazy. So yeah, I'm really excited, really confident going into this. Because I mean more so than just the eyes, but I've evolved as a fighter dramatically in the last like year, or since I fought D-Rod even. So just looking forward to go out there and just put it all out, all out for you guys to see and just enjoy.
Just two more things. Like with a lot of these guys you're fighting, like Johan and Ian, just because they are undefeated, like do you think they like overlook you, or not even just you, like most of their opponents thinking they're like untouchable and like they can't be beat? Like, do you think that plays a big role in why you have so much success against them?
I don't know if that's the reason why I have success against them, but I mean, I think like I was mentioning, as far as my own hype, I don't have a lot of hype behind me. I think people kind of look at me and go like, yeah, he pressures and he looks like he hits okay and he's pretty durable, but he's they kind of, a lot of people just write me off, and if they want to do that, they go ahead and do that. At the end of the day, they're stuck in the cage with me, and we'll find out what happens when we get there. And I mean, I'm gonna enjoy it. I don't know if they're gonna have a lot of fun with me in there though.
And just last thing, like the walkout, what do you think that's going to be like with all the fans? Like, especially in Vegas, it like gets pretty rowdy in there. Like, you're going to be high up on the cards. There's going to be a lot of fans. Like, what's that? What, and like, not even just the walkout, but the whole like fight week experience. What do you think that's going to be like now that it's like a real one with all the fans?
I'm really looking forward to it. Wednesday, I got like another couple days where I'm gonna like push real hard, and then we kind of taper off, and fight week is kind of like a mini vacation that ends with a fight, which is like the funnest thing in the world. It's the greatest vacation ever. And I'm just looking forward to the whole, because of COVID and stuff and not having any fans, I haven't had the whole UFC like experience yet. And walking out, hearing people, roaring and stuff and cheering for me has always been one of my favorite parts of fighting. Some people get psyched out about it, but I love it. I love when I'm inside the cage and I hit somebody and they're like, ooh, like I eat all that up. I think it brings the best me out. Cause I don't know. I think besides like a fighter, I'm an entertainer, and I just kind of, I can feel it, like I grow off of it. So yeah, I'm just looking forward to having people watch, so I can kind of just like take it in and be even better.
Well, actually, just quickly, like, do you have a lot of friends and family heading out then? Because this is like the first real time they can see you in the UFC.
But I got, every single time that I've fought, I've had like 40, 50 people go out to Vegas, and they weren't able to get in. So they would just kind of watch it together. And they planned on going to Vegas this time too. But like the cheapest tickets they could find were like $500. So not everyone is going to be there for sure. But yeah, I'm going to have a couple people in there watching the fight. So that's going to be cool to be able to perform in front of them. But I still think there's going to be like 40 people waiting for me after I win to just go hang out and have a good time.
Well, Gabe, I appreciate the time. Thank you so much for doing this.
Oh man, thank you.